Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, I had a conversation with a person in a store that sparked a train of thoughts that I would like to elaborate upon and discuss on here. First of all, before going into it, I want to explain what a typical luxury fashion house design team is like. So you'll always have a creative director. This is the person that most people would know. Matthew Blazier at Chanel, Demna at Gucci, Michael Ryder at Celine. These are the heads. They are the creative directors. So they direct everything. But a typical luxury fashion brand will have somewhere between 60 to sometimes even 100 people working in the design team. So I say this to say that every design that you see, whether it be a pair of glasses, a hat, shoes, a jacket, pair of trousers, bags, accessories, whatever they may be, it has gone through various designers and assistants and people who pick out things for merch, people whose job is solely to figure out what things would work visually well in the store before it arrives at the creative director, who will then say, yes, no, develop further. This is absolutely terrible, scrap that. This is how a typical design team would work. So, let me go back to my thought. My question is this: do we think that design teams will come up with ideas based on training, taste, surroundings, things that their eyes have unconsciously and sometimes even subconsciously absorbed, go back into the studio, come up with these things, send it off to the creative director to say, yes, that's great, let's work with that? Or are they observing what is going on in the industry, taking into consideration what had previously been put out by the same brand or neighboring brands or rival brands, looking at what the people farther down the totem pole who have a couple of 100,000 clients or even less, look at what they're doing, maximize, scale up for a bigger brand, add some accoutrement, some interesting stuff, improve the fabric quality levels, all of these things. And then they go to the creative director and say, look, this is what James and John and Matthew are doing. Let's take what James and John are doing, let's subtract 1% from it, add what Matthew's doing, and let's put it out to the people based on what the clients are wearing, where the trends are going. Is that how they come up with the designs that we end up seeing on the runway, in stores, on people? And the reason I ask this question is because if I think back to every single creative outlet that exists today that we are all aware of, music, art, even sport, do we think that that same process applies to them? Let me paint you a picture. Beethoven. Did Beethoven go, you know what? I think I need to compose some music. Yeah. And I think I need it to sound in such a way that when Sir William DeBarge hears it, he goes, yes, that's a jam. You know, I need to make high society really come towards me. I want to make them like me. I want them to understand that this is where music is going because I heard what Wolfgang Amadeus did. I heard what Mr. Mozart over there did. So I'm just going to combine their ideas. I'm going to bring it together. I'm going to make some music for these guys. Or did Beethoven, who was deaf, I can't remember if he was born deaf or not, but I think he went deaf at a pretty young age, use his Clearly, God given talent rained down upon him from the Creator himself to come up with these unbelievable concertos and symphonies that today, however many, I don't know, maybe 100 years, we still refer to his music. Raphael, Caravaggio. I mean, the Renaissance old masters, they were commissioned by wealthy patrons to come up with arts. They were giving subject matters, topics, the nativity, the birth of Christ, the sacrifice of this person, the annunciation. They were giving themes or ideas by these patrons, but they would go away and make the art themselves. There is absolutely no way that Da Vinci was going to be like, I wonder what the people want to see today. I wonder what kind of vibe Raphael is going to come with. Let me try and do something that a bit like what Raphael did. Let me sprinkle some Michelangelo in there. You know what? Maybe even add some Bernini just to spice things up. Absolutely not. These creative outlets were genius in the way they came up with it. When you think about how old Gian Lorenzo Bernini was when he sculpted David, it makes you feel like you're a waste of space. I think he did Bernini when he was like 21 or maybe even less. Maybe he was like 17. I'm thinking at 17-year-old, at 17 I could barely cook, let alone make David. So my question is, why is it fashion? And if it is the case that way, why is it fashion where there seems to be a distinct lack of like pure creativity, you know, autonomous creativity? That's what I want to call it. At the end of the day, there is no such thing as autonomous creativity because it comes down from somewhere. You know, inspiration is giving out to all of us in the form of visuals, dreams, think perceptions, things that your eyes see, what you hear. It's all a cosmic interference by the one who created this whole thing. So that's where the creativity comes from. But at least it's only one person who's given it. But when I think about how fashion and how the industry seems to be regurgitating the same concepts just with slightly different changes here and there, sometimes not even. Sometimes not even. It makes me wonder why it is that this industry doesn't work in the same way like art does, like music does, or at least it did back in the day. I have heard many people talk about how when they create music, they make what they like first. Because if you think about it this way, a musician is in a studio. He's with his producer, he's with A&R, maybe not even. He's with whichever artists are going to collaborate on that song. Sometimes not even. It's just him and the producer and the engineer, the people who are working on the music. And they come up with a riff, they come up with a melody, they elaborate on it, they add lyrics, they add tones, they add cuts and different samples and different things, and then they put it out. So at no point is there like a crowdfunding for taste or a crowdfunding for likes. They're putting out what they deem is, oh my goodness, this is a banger. Let's go with this. And then the people either like it or they don't, which is why some albums people think are trash and some people think, oh my goodness, this is the greatest album of all time. So it works in music, even today. And the people, the artists that are the top of their game are because they are the ones who are doing the most creative thing or taking a concept that might not be brand new and might have existed before, but reformulating it and restructuring it and packaging it in such a way that it becomes intrinsically theirs. I don't see this in fashion. The reason why all of this happened is because I was having a conversation with a gentleman in a store, not the one that I work in. I was doing my usual casual browses that I do. I won't call it window shopping because I'm buying anything. I'm just browsing. I'm just looking at seeing what everyone else is doing. And I'm looking at this shirt thumbing through the rails, looking at this, looking at that, picking up shoes. And I notice a guy in the corner of my eye, and I can see that he looks at me once and then double takes and looks again, and he eyes me up and down. But he doesn't know I can see that, because this is the beauty of wearing glasses, because with my eyes, I have peripheral vision. I can see all the way around. But with the glasses, I only see forward, so not peripheral. So if you're looking at me from the side, you don't know for sure that I'm looking at you. I can see you because I'm facing forward, but I am. So I notice him. And I think he's sizing me up to figure out what kind of client I am, if I am a client at all. He's dressed fairly well. Blue jeans, white t-shirt, nice watch, maybe an Aquanaut Patek Philippe. I can't remember what else he was wearing. Maybe even some New Balance sneakers. He looked okay. And he turns to me, he goes, "It's not making any sense, right?" I was like, "Sorry, what?" He goes, "Do you come to this store a lot?" I don't want to mention the name of the brand. "Do you come to the store a lot?" I was like, "Actually, I do. I like it. It's one of the ones that I come to. I don't buy from here, but I like it." And he goes, "I don't get it. It used to be so much better. It seems like it's all the same now. Don't you think?" And I was like, "Well, I have a theory on that, but it might not make any sense to you." And he's like, "No, no, no, share with me your theory. I'm interested." And I said to him, "Well, I think that we currently live in a time where the laziness or the lack of effort put into creative pursuits, specifically in the fashion industry, is covered by price, by branding, by advertising, by celebrity endorsements. And in reality, all we're seeing is one template regurgitated in different colors, in different textiles, and given out back to the consumer." And he said to me, "Exactly. But why do you think that is?" And I said, "Because the consumer doesn't care as much as the consumer used to. Right now, fashion has become very, very much so about business. And you know what? I've said this before. I'm not downplaying the importance of bottom ends, of making profits, of turning a profit, of scalability. These things are paramount. They are extremely important. So it needs to be there. And if it's not there, then what are you doing it for at the end of the day? But I still believe that despite that being there, there must be a way to still inject the same level of creativity that we used to into designs." And he said to me, "So, because the people who are buying these things now don't care as much, therefore the rest of us who do care are left out in the cold with no blankets." And I was like, "Well, without being so harsh about it, yes, that's the case." And he's like, "What are we going to do about it?" I was like, "I don't think anything can be done about it. We're too far gone at this point. It's all about consumption. Everyone wants to consume it. And they want to consume it not because they understand it, but because everyone else is consuming it." The amount of times people have asked me in store where I do work, which I will not mention again, between two items, which one do people buy the most? And when I hear this, I'm not joking. I think my ancestors are like, "Oh my goodness, again?" Like, it goes so far down the line. My unborn children are turning in their sleep when they hear this phrase, when I hear this. Which one is the best seller? Which one do people like the most? And I'm thinking, you on purpose want to look like everyone else. Yeah. So sometimes I ask people, I'm like, "But why do you want what everyone else?" "Well, because if it's the one that everyone else has, then it must mean that it's the best." I was like, "Not necessarily. A lot of people in the world smoke. It's very bad for you." A lot of people in the world drink alcohol. It's probably one of the most silent killers in the world. So just because, like my mom used to say, just because someone tells you to follow them and jump off a cliff doesn't mean you're going to have to. I'm like, "Yeah, mom, that's true." If someone says, "Come with me, we're going to jump off this cliff," yeah, I'm not doing that. So why do people want to be the same as everyone else? And I understand where it comes from. It is from this deep-seated intrinsic sense that we have as human beings to commune, to be together, to be a community, to interact with each other, to be with each other. I get it. It's inbred within us. It's intertwined into our genomes and blood vessels and our sinews. It's all the way down to the hemoglobin. We want to be together. But it doesn't mean we have to dress the same. It doesn't mean we have to wear the same shoes. It's like the Hermes slippers that I see. And I'm thinking, every time someone goes and buys this, when they wear the shoes out and they see 500 people wearing the same slippers, how do they feel? Do they think, yes, I've made it in life? Yeah. Or do they think, oh, I belong? And if that's the case, surely we can find other ways to belong. Surely there are other things that we can do as a community that will bring us together aside from wearing the same clothes. But like I said, it's a business. I get it. I just wondered, how did we get here? Because in music, largely it's still the same. Top down dissemination of creativity. In art, it is the same. Top down dissemination of creativity. Like I said, Beethoven didn't go da 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 dum da 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 dum da 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 dum 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 and go, you know what? Yeah, that's what the people are gonna like. No, he did it, and then so William DeBarge heard it and said, "This is a banger, Fifth Symphony. Let's get it." That's what happened. We all know that Picasso was not successful until his much later years. The kind of popularity and success that Mark Rothko is currently experiencing from his artwork wasn't even close to what he had when he was alive. Not even close. Some of his pieces sell for tens and maybe even $100+ million. He wasn't doing that when he was alive. No way. But he did it anyway. It was genius anyway. And I can name countless artists. Do we think Da Vinci realized that all of his pieces were going to have the kind of popularity? Maybe not, but he did it for himself. He did it because he was gifted, because he was blessed, because something was put inside him from a place that none of us will even ever understand. But he knew that he had something to share. And it makes me wonder, why is it that so much of what I see in fashion is just someone else's idea, that's someone else's idea, that's someone else's idea, but taken all together, regurgitated and spilled back? Look, I'm not saying that I know how things need to change to move forward. All I'm posing is a question. Is is this stuff still really creative? I understand that a lot of the brands that are out there that are experiencing great success, there is an element of creativity. But the truly, truly creative brands out there, I could name 5 brands that maybe people would never have heard of that are doing unreal things. You know what I mean? But at the same time, they're not the most successful. The most successful are the ones who are making things that everyone wants to continuously have. And the same person, the same person, the same thing, the same concept, the same idea, the same shape, just different colors. It is bewildering to me. So that was what I wanted to bring up. I don't know. What are your thoughts? Am I completely wrong? Have I missed the boat? Is there actual creativity there? Am I comparing 2 different creative outlets or other creative outlets to a one that actually isn't that creative? However, I don't think so, because at some point we had Coco Chanel, we had Cristobal Balenciaga, we had Giorgio Armani, we have Christian Lacroix, and all of these people, I believe, were doing incredible things, things we'd never seen before. When was the last time you saw something and thought, wow, now that is truly interesting? And not because you saw James and John wearing the same thing in a different color 2 weeks ago, or because you saw it on a model that you aspire to be like. Anyways, as always, especially with this, I don't make the rules. I'm just an enforcer, and I'm inquisitive. Thank you so much for listening. Peace and love.